Welcome to Legacy Cast, where we talk about your story, your way, and what are you doing to make sure that people know about you many generations from now. Good afternoon, Legacy Cast listeners. I would like to welcome you here and a guest and a very good friend of mine, Jaime Scott. She's also known as the Hempuralist because she has a very interesting business story. So, Jaime, welcome to the program here this afternoon. How are you doing?
Thank you, James. I'm happy to be here. I'm doing great.
And what area is it that you're from specifically?
Well, I'm from Missouri, but I currently reside in Colorado Springs.
Cool. It's a beautiful area there in Colorado. I would actually wish I was there, considering the temperatures. Here in Texas, we're, I think, somewhere between 110 and 150 degrees. So I would love to be in Colorado where it's a little bit cooler.
Yeah, we don't get it that hot here. If we do, then we know that something's not right.
Yeah, the farmers are actually giving ice to their chickens so that they don't lay hard-boiled eggs. So it's pretty warm out here. Well, let's go ahead and get started with some of these questions that I like to ask people. And obviously, as the name would suggest, with Legacy Cast, we talk a bit about legacies, but I do also mention each time I have a program that it's not just about the financial legacy that a lot of people think it might be on first glance, but in fact, legacies are really, in our opinion, kind of a story. It's your story telling your life, what matters to you, your way. And so that's what we do here on Legacy Cast is we talk to business owners and discuss really what they're doing to kind of dig in and find out how are they building something that's going to last longer than themselves. So what does legacy for you, Jaime, mean?
Oh, gosh. Like you said, a lot of people think of it financial. Now that I'm a mother, I think parents look at legacy a little differently. What kind of lessons do I want to leave behind? What kind of decisions did I help them make, or mindsets that I had him have to make sure that he can go on if him and I don't see the end together? So I think for me, legacy is perpetuating all the goodness that we want our children to be better than we are. And if we can instill all the good parts from us into our children, I think that would create a good legacy, the best part of ourselves.
Yeah, I like how you put that because, a lot of people, like I was saying, they kind of think of it from, the financial or from the obvious, but they're not really thinking about, the values standpoint, what the things that, really make a difference at the end of the day. The lessons that we've learned and how to teach, our children, grandchildren, so forth, the generations to follow, to how to make things better. Since, you and I are both veterans, we also, when we took our oath of enlistment, we wanted to be part of something bigger than ourselves. So it's really something that is kind of ingrained, I've found, in veterans that, legacy mindset is very much a part of who we are. Because, it just makes sense to us that we're wanting to build something bigger.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. And when we see those little things in our kids, like my 6-year-old will say, "We just got to try again. You never know. We just try." I'm like, "That's right, buddy." You see these little snippets and you're like, yes, they're getting it. Right.
So do you feel that for our listeners that really taking some time to think about, what legacy means to them, do you think that's something important for them?
I do, because I think, we've been through a recession, we've seen war, we've seen these things in the world, and how do we explain that to our children? How do we let them know, educate them on what's going on without scaring them, without hurting them, without making them realize all this pain, but at the same time, we've got to make our children aware and knowledgeable of all different things, all different perspectives. And I think that if parents keep remembering, okay, what do I want them to learn? I'm always trying to teach my son a lesson, no matter what it is. I make anything out of a game, whatever. And I always try to make him see on a bigger picture, just because you can doesn't mean you hurt the little guy, just because you can do this doesn't mean you have to, or use your resources. So I think that legacy is important, and for those reasons, that's our next generation.
Right. And as far as from a business standpoint, how would you say that correlates into what you do as a business?
Wow, that's a good question. When I finally decided to go the route and follow my passion that I wanted to do, it's neat when you can finally see, like us veterans, like you said, our mindset is already, what can I do bigger? What can I do to make a difference and an impact, an imprint on the world and on my children?
Sure.
Or if you don't have children, the legacy of yourself. And to finally make the decision to follow your passion, while it is still work, you have to work to get there. I think it's going to be a more enjoyable, self-fulfilling ride. If you can do it, not yourself, because we're all together in this, but if you can make that decision and keep that perseverance and always remember, look, I can do this, just keep going forward. I think being able to have both your passion and what you want to do and then combine that into making a living, I think those are awesome ingredients to build your legacy.
Sure. It's kind of like that saying that if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life. That's, I'm sort of a strange cookie because, I love working with numbers and I love, playing with other people's money. And so, that's something that, for me, it's a lot of fun. A lot of, many other people would find that, highly boring, and, thinking about all that kind of stuff, would just be agonizing for them, like, getting a root canal. And so it's something that, to me is very enjoyable. And I don't think about the work. It's not mundane to me. And so, I just hope that, other people and other people, obviously, that are listening to the show, that they are looking at that in what they do. It's not just a 9-to-5, because anybody can do that. But we're created to find what it is that we're good at and that we're passionate about, that our gifts allow us to do. Because I'm a person of faith, and so I really believe that we're endowed by our Creator to do certain things. And so given that, we should, our journey is to find what that is, and then when we find it, pursue it and do it, and we'll be very happy.
Oh yeah, when you were saying that, just like you said, our story sometimes creates what our passion or journey will be.
Sure.
We don't plan anything, so when something happens, you just start like, oh, it could open up a whole new world of possibilities you didn't even know were there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So if you were, Jaime, to look at your business and its future, kind of from a CEO standpoint for a moment, what would you say that the things are that kind of keep you up at night? Maybe 2 or 3 things.
Oh, that's a good question. My fear is time.
Okay.
Because of my son, but I'm always, where can I make the most impact? Right.
Sure.
My son has to go hand in hand with my business because it has to suit his lifestyle. So the things that keep me up at night, I think the things that our brain lies to us about, are people going to see the real me? Am I going to seem trustworthy to them? I hope I'm coming across this way. How do I address their pain points? Oh gosh, I know this can be really big if I just had, $100,000 or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because like we have all these ideas and we want to bring them to fruition, but there's steps and processes you have to do to get there. So what keeps me up at night are all those processes that lead up to that big thing. I know something's almost there, and we're almost there.
Sure. No, and that's well put, because I think that a lot of people sort of are in that same sort of situation, that they worry about those things. They worry about how does somebody perceive me, or how does somebody perceive my business, or am I going to be good enough? Those kinds of things. And, it's certainly something that we struggle with. And, we as humans, obviously, something that, it does take some conditioning to get over. It's what I call, in my practice, head trash, because, it's,
yes!
it's kind of, it's that stuff that gets in, it gets into that gray area of our minds. And really, it's, if we just look at it from a different perspective, and kind of, as much as possible, take the emotion out of the equation, then, we're able to make, better decisions. So I certainly appreciate, that's something that bothers you, because, likewise, I struggle with it myself. Do you believe it's important that people create strategies for themselves and their business?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. And I don't think strategy is something you can plan all the time. I don't think it's black and white. And I say that because we all have competitors on one level or another.
Right.
As veterans, we learn, or we feel that, well, we're pretty much, we're good in business, right? We got the resources, we got the ideas. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, when you see your competitors show their hand, so to speak, or kind of see what they're doing, and me never having an online business before, it's important for me to see like, oh, okay, this person did it right, this person didn't. And then, of course, all the groups we're in that bring so much value, you just start, I sit back and read and look, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what they're doing, So
Sure.
Along the road, I think that it is important to have a strategy. And if you kind of know where you want to go, you can start looking for those clues that'll help you along the way to put that strategy on the place like a puzzle. And eventually it all comes together as one piece put together.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. Something that I like to think about when it comes to strategy is, the best one is, it sort of comes from the Chinese proverb of, which kind of tree is stronger, the oak or the willow. And, the willow is actually stronger because it's able to bend when the breeze blows. It bends when the storms come, and the oak is not able to do that. So, our strategy has to be kind of the same way. It's something that has to flex with time, because if it's not flexible, then it's so rigid that it's going to break under the strain of life. And so it's certainly something that everyone should take to heart when they're putting that plan together. So what do you think the most common reason that entrepreneurs fail or just give up when they're starting a business?
Depending on the industry, or in general, there's always going to be things that don't come up. And you just said it, flexibility. Mm-hmm. We're so hard on ourselves and fool ourselves into thinking that, why did you even try when you knew this was going to happen? And we're not flexible. We're unforgiving. I think the biggest thing for entrepreneurs is they don't allow themselves to veer off that course that you thought was going to happen. They're not able to adapt. They're not able to think that they can move forward. So I think that's the biggest thing is self-doubt for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and that's huge. That's definitely a huge one. So given kind of you're sort of mentioning the self-doubt as being one of those big reasons for failure, what would you say that specific roadblocks would be that if you were to be mentoring a new entrepreneur that they should watch out for? What kind of roadblocks should they be careful of?
I always start from the beginning.
Okay.
Start with your foundational blocks first. You cannot just do business online if you haven't registered your business, if you haven't seen if the name is taken, if you haven't set up your taxes quarterly, right? If you want to do that, if you don't have your processes and procedures in place, if you don't start from the beginning, and then I think that is huge in whether or not you move forward. I mean,
sure.
I ran into so many roadblocks, and I just was like, okay, you know what? I just got to step back. I didn't realize in this industry that this is the way it was going to go. So I went back to the beginning, and that's what you have to do.